they kind of let me do it until one day it was like growing through, and I had gym first period and spiked my hair up kind of in a faux hawk, so the roots were coming through, and it was so sick. And it was the vice, I guess, assistant headmaster. She was running our gym, and she's like, "Manny, can you stay after class?" And I'm like, "Sure." So I don't know what I did. I mean, I'm competitive in gym class, but I mean, I did.
The intersection of good drinks, good music, and good times. This is Hops and Spirits Bar Conversations.
Whiskey Weeks 2022 is rolling on. I can't believe we're past the halfway mark of September. It's been a fun one so far. Smith and Wesley to kick it all off. Ian Munstick last week. Manny Blu this week. And we close out Whiskey Weeks 2022 here on Bar Conversations with the boys Sutherland. It's a lot of fun. I can't wait to share all of this with you. Don't forget to check out any of our past episodes. Go to hopspirits.com or find us on your favorite podcast player. Subscribe, like us, give us a 5-star review. We appreciate it all. And coming up here, before we get to Manny Blu, we talk Whiskey 101 with Chad Watson. And this time we talk about craft distillers and why you should not overlook them. Let's get to the show.
Did you know Hops and Spirits is more than just this podcast? Check out hopspirits.com for our latest episode release, past episodes, interviews with interesting folks in the alcohol industry, and so much more. Just go to hopspirits.com. Feel free to wait until this podcast is done.
Welcome back to another Tasting Notes, and we're in the midst of Whiskey 101 with Chad Watson, a.k.a. My Daily Bourbon on Instagram. He's part of the Bourbon Life crew. Chad, welcome back.
Hey, thanks for having me.
I figured this time I'd mention the Bourbon Life crew. That's your one of your side hustles that you're always working on. Do you ever take a day off?
Doesn't feel like it. And I'm not complaining. I do work a fair share of hours a week. I do, my side reviews, and I've let one of my side gigs fall to the wayside just because I didn't have time to sit down and type out articles left and right. But it just goes. I enjoy it though. I mean, it's fun. If I'm going to be doing anything, I don't want to just be sitting at home to sit at home. At least I can be trying new bourbons from a new distillery, or writing a review up for the Bourbon Life, and just go, seeing where it goes.
Well, I was gonna say, I mean, is it really work if you're talking about bourbon or drinking bourbon?
No, it's not. And what's fun is it's one of those things to where I can just say, you know what, I don't feel like it today, and then I don't have to.
I like it. But you do have to,
versus my real job.
But you do have to right now talk to us a little bit about craft distillers, because there is a difference between what some might know as the big boys, mm-hmm. and then the craft guys. In Kentucky, I know it's kind of a weird thing on the cutoff line, because they have a cutoff line on the Bourbon Trail of, I think, about 10,000 barrels a year or something like that, which if you really think about it, it's still a lot.
Although not, crap ton.
Not as much as the big boys, but the craft distillers, what is that? What are we talking about? And what should we be looking for?
I mean, so when it comes to craft, I mean, anyone who pretty much that is not a big boy, I mean, because there are limitations to being on the regular Bourbon Trail, which is, how much you produce. You have to produce a certain amount. And, I mean, there's a fee. It's like $250,000 a year to be on that. So, I mean, most of your craft distilleries, one, aren't making $250,000 extra a year they can just throw at the Bourbon Trail, and two, they're not producing enough barrels to hit that requirement. But craft is one of those things to where it goes either way. A lot of people say there's too many craft brands out right now, and a lot of people like me love to see. Yeah, I work in liquor retail, and every time I get every week, I get 4 new bourbons or whiskeys I get cut in. So I'm like, well, I got to move this shelf down so I can make space for this item, so I can make space for that item. That does get redundant, but 20 years from now, there may not be a Heaven Hill, but we don't know. I mean, there might be, mom and pop's whiskey who starts tomorrow out of their garage and grows it into a big thing because their style of whiskey was more popular. And we're seeing more and more of that. I mean, we've seen Jackie Zykan leave Old Forester, and joined up with the Neelys to do Hidden Barn. And I mean, that's craft. They are a craft brand, and that's a big leap. I mean, to go from one of the big juggernauts in American whiskey with Brown-Forman to going the craft route, I'm sure it's pretty scary on her end, but there is a future in craft whiskey. There may not be a future with one particular craft brand, but I mean, that's like Dave Pickerel going around and consulting to help get all these craft brands going. I mean, that's WhistlePig. WhistlePig was a Dave Pickerel. He worked with Willet and Blackened and all these other companies and distilleries to essentially get them going. And at that time, they were craft. I mean, if you were to look at WhistlePig now and say, hey, you know, they were a craft distillery at one point, you'd be like, nah, no, they're not. But because everyone knows them, everyone knows WhistlePig. But you've got so many craft brands around. I mean, there are distilleries that people ask me about, and they're like, hey, do you have so-and-so's whiskey? No. Oh, well, they distilled down in the holler in eastern Kentucky. And I've been trying to find their stuff anywhere outside the gift shop. Well, I'm like, I've never heard of them. But if they have a distributor, you know, or give me some, if you have any contact information, I'll see if they have a distributor, and we'll try and carry them. It's just one of those weird things. I mean, there's just so many varieties out there. I think people try one bad craft distillery, and then they write them all off. Like, I'm going to throw a name out there of Jeff Creed. A lot of people were like, okay, I did not like their 2-year. I won't like their 4-year, and I won't try anything else. Their 4-year is really damn good with that malted rye. I'm a big fan of that, and I would say probably 99% of the places I like going, if I'm going to go to a distillery, are going to be craft. It's a little more intimate. They'll tell you the secrets. They'll let you kind of hang out, and you have a better time. So like Bluegrass Distillers, I talk about them. I'll preached about them all the time. For the last few years, been a huge fan of them. Ever since the first time I went, the first bottle I tasted, yeah, it's young, but I mean, I'm not going into a younger whiskey with craft, and that's one thing people can't do. You can't go into a craft whiskey expecting to have something that's got 200 years of history behind it. It's just not there. They may have 10 years of experience combined, you know, between the people who are in there, and that's one of those things that you have to kind of take into account. Which this will be part of my next round, but another one is like balcones or balcones. I can never say it right. I always say balcones. Balcones.
Down in Texas.
Yeah, down in Texas. You know, Texas is still in that craft. Like almost everything in Texas is craft, and people will talk about you know, they don't like the funk that comes with it. Well, there's a lot of stuff in Texas they're doing to balance that, and there's a lot of stuff that our small distilleries are doing. I used to argue, and this, I mean, it was very idiotic of me to say that 53-gallon barrels are like, I mean, it's the standard. 53 gallons is your standard barrel. I used to argue that no way on earth could anyone make a standard or a shelf-ready product in anything other than a 53-gallon barrel. Just, you know, break it down to science. It's got the best da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And boy, was I stupid, because that's not true. I mean, there's so many brands out there who are doing 15 and 30 or 25, or hell, some are going in and doing like 60 or 70-gallon barrels just to help offset either angel share or balance out the fact that they aren't sure if their grains are right. You know, they may not have distilled it correctly, so they're learning, and I think that's what's fun. You'll see big distilleries will take on the trend of craft. So a craft distillery may come out and say, "Hey, we're going to do a 100% blue corn bourbon. It's blue corn, and we're going to, you know, there's no malted barley, no rye, no wheat, no nothing, and we're going to age that for 4 years, and we're going to put that out." Well, then you'll see large brands come out. Hey, we've got a blue corn recipe bourbon, or we've got a peated rye whiskey, or we have a chocolate malted bourbon. And it just kind of amazes me how naive I was just a few years ago that craft distilleries weren't actually, to me, craft is what leads to forefront. They are who push innovation. I mean, I know that you go to your big brands and they've got innovation teams, but those people are drawing inspiration from somewhere else, and those are the small 1-2 people operations, or the 20 people operations who are working basically out of a closet in a garage to get their brand going, because they're willing to risk it all to see if it works. And that's where I think people kind of lose it is, yeah, you may not like a craft whiskey. You can talk bad about it. It may not be your profile, and they may love it, but they love it because of the hard work they put into it, which I think that a lot of people don't respect that idea of someone put time, effort, sweat, blood, and tears and invested money into that. Whether or not we like it, or you like it and I like it, or vice versa. Lay down. Dog just came in here. Whether or not, it's for everyone, they're not trying to make it for everyone. They're trying to make it for a particular crowd. And I think that a lot of people come into craft whiskey, like I said a few minutes ago, is expecting, well, I love Buffalo Trace. Well, Buffalo Trace has a long lineage, long heritage, and a long way of doing things. And they've always got millions and millions and millions of dollars to make their product solid, whereas these people may be running their distillery paycheck to paycheck just so they can finance their dream. And to me, right now, I think craft whiskey is the future. I think that that's who's going to lead the next big wave of whiskey.
Well, and I think you said it in the tangent. You said it in there, but like it's not like a big boy can just. I've talked to like Nicole Austin at George Dickel. It took her a ton of pushing to even get them to do something a little different. So it's not like, you're talking to board of directors, you're talking to all these different interests. So they can't always do fun things that they might like to. Whereas those craft guys, it's them. Usually they're the distiller, they're the janitor, they're the everything. And if they want to do something, they can. And that's like you said, they get to pull in a different, malt, a different, type of corn, a different type of wheat, a different type of whatever, and try and get different flavors out of it. And it's really cool to see. And I think too, that's what you got to watch is they're doing different things. They're not doing the tried and true, always done way. They're doing different things. So you might get different, like you said, you might like it, you might not. But like you said, they are doing something different usually.
Yeah. I mean, and if you look, way back, back your 30s, 40s, 50s, when there was or even earlier than that, when there were tons of distilleries out there. I mean, at one point in time, like everyone loves Stitzel-Weller now. Everyone chases it. That was a craft distillery that no one liked. That was a craft distillery that no one liked. So like they were trying their best to sell their whiskey to whoever they could at that time because no one liked it. Well, look at us now. People love it. 20, 30 years later, people are in love with that whiskey. So 20, 30 years from now, that mom and pop person who's trying to make their whiskey and sell it to whoever, that might be the next gold mine. So
always got to give them a chance. You never know what you will like. And Chad, I appreciate the knowledge as always, and I can't wait to see what we wrap up Whiskey 101 with next week.
Hell yeah.
Remember to check out Hops and Spirits on social media at Hop Spirits, all one word, on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and Twitter. You can also find Hops and Spirits on YouTube and at hopspirits.com.
Joining us here on the Bar Conversations for Whiskey Weeks 2022. He's a country artist, although it might be better country punk rocker, punk country. I don't know how it's best to describe him, but welcome in, Manny Blu.
What's going on, man?
I must say, I much prefer your background than my background right now.
Thank you. Yeah.
So, I was going to say, how you doing?
I'm good, man. Yeah, country punk is kind of how I say it, but you can call it whatever you want, really.
Well, I like it, and we'll get into that in a little bit, exactly kind of how your style meshes with everything. But this is called Bar Conversations. I went with a little bit, since it's Whiskey Weeks on the program, we're celebrating National Bourbon Heritage Month, a little George Remus, a little bootlegger action. You got anything good tonight?
I'm drinking a Happy Dad. Great stuff. If you're drinking a whiskey, I might pull myself on right quick.
All right, go for it. That will not make me upset at all. That's what we're here for.
My future father-in-law was in town not too long ago and got me this Chattanooga whiskey. 100.
Oh, I like that. So I was drinking that with, I had it on the show with Smith and Wesley, since that's where they're from. Cool. I love Chattanooga whiskey. The Cask 111 is my favorite. That is on my shelf all the time.
Yes.
So I hope you enjoy it. But is whiskey kind of your go-to drink, or do you kind of mix and match?
I mix and match. It's been beer for a long time, just kind of like the go-to at the bar, or whatever. Always enjoy a good scotch or whiskey. But I got so blacked out at my bachelor party, and I wasn't drinking beer. I was actually drinking the Happy Dads, which is the funniest story, the part of it. But it was so many. We're playing, drinking games and stuff, and I blacked out for about 3 hours and tried to have dinner and didn't work out. So that whole week I didn't drink. The week following that, and I haven't been drinking beer the same for whatever reason. So it's very interesting. But it wasn't even beer that got me. But I think it was the 2 months of binge drinking on tour that might have did that for me though. So.
Well, I was gonna say, if you want to get, I had my bachelor party a while ago. I'm celebrating 10 years, married this month, and but we had down in Charlotte, and it was kind of staggered because all my buddies kept coming in at different times. So I swear they all were like, "We got to get you shots. Got to get
Everybody
you
wants
shots."
to do shots with you, and you're the only one there the whole time.
Exactly, and I'm like, this is not gonna go well. I remember midnight. I don't remember much after that. I remember puking. I remember apparently the whole group being in the middle, surrounding me so we could walk across the street to the hotel. So it happens to the best of us.
For sure.
Now, before you got into country music, you were an MMA fighter?
Yes, training team, yeah.
So what happened?
Yeah, first amateur fight. So I was training for about 4 years. My manager, or my trainer, I guess, he was feeling both, I guess. Had said from the beginning, he goes, there's this kind of the 6-month curse where within 6 months of learning, and I was coming from zero background, just athleticism, having played hockey, soccer, and I was a kicker in football. I didn't have any martial arts or wrestling background, so he goes, there's like a 6-month curse where after 6 months, people think they're like invincible and they can do this. And it legitimately takes 2 years before you can know enough to handle yourself in a sparring session. So I didn't spar for 2 years. I didn't fight till 4. And it was just about really being ready and doing all of the sort of groundwork to lead up to sparring, and honestly not being not going in and getting my ass whooped to the point where it's demoralizing, or I'm reacting weird and I'm injuring sparring partners for stupidity. So it was really getting the mechanics of fighting and sparring down. So that was 2 years. Fought after 4, did an amateur fight and tried to throw a knee. I think, if I remember correctly, tried to throw a knee and he blocked with his elbow and tore my quad. So I won the fight, thankfully. So it was easier to kind of go, you know what, during the time I was resting, I picked up guitar and people enjoyed hearing me play and sing. And it hurts a lot less than getting punched in the face. So kind of made that switch pretty quick. When people are like, you can actually do this if you really wanted to. And it's like, dude, I put 4 years into MMA. I mean, it's going to be another kind of slow burn, but I mean, it's probably something that is worth trying. And I've been super fortunate with a lot of opportunities and connections that I've made along the way. And here we are.
Well, I was going to say, it seems like you like a good challenge, like overcoming obstacles. I mean, injuries from MMA, I'm sure hockey, I'm sure you got busted up a few times there, different things like that. I mean, even I know, you with dyslexia growing up. I mean, so pretty much it seems like it put a challenge in front of you and you're ready to take it over.
That's
right?
the thing. I mean, I think honestly, dyslexia was the biggest hurdle that I've ever had to cross, and just trying to participate in a classroom. And, not being confident in my reading ability when you're called upon to read in class or whatever it is. So I just remembered a lot of shit. I just learned things, and remembered a lot of it. So I didn't have to read or have to do as much reading because I would listen. I would really focus and listen to the teacher. So I can recall a lot more things than having to go back or reread something or whatever it is. So I would take bullet point notes. That helped a lot. And that's kind of a thing that's always been, with me the whole time, growing up. So it's kind of like it's one thing after another, but I think it builds character and makes you stronger if you want to see it that way.
Absolutely, and it gives you those real lived life experiences when you want to, share some things through song. And I also think you like to share things on social media. You sharing your adventures, having fun. What's it like to share that side of your life and let it out there for everyone to see?
It's crazy. It is crazy. It took me a sec to get used to it because I've always been pretty private and personal. And, growing up, our family's always been like, you don't have to share everything. You don't have to, you can enjoy experiences and things that you get to do or whatever it is you're doing, while, and there's a lot of things too, like people on vacation, and it's like, would hate to be at work today. And then there's people at work that are like, well, fuck you, kind of. Sorry. So it was always,
it's okay. Never, we drink.
It's like never be like that. So when I moved into being an artist where they're like, we want to see everything you're doing all the time, it was like, how do you break kind of something that has been so instilled in me to not do? And now it's part of the criteria of being an artist. And it's just something you got to do. And so I think now I follow a lot of people on socials that I think they're cool. I enjoy what they're doing. There's one dude, and he's like over the top, but he's fascinating. Is Franz, Chris Franznak, I think. He's the singer for Attila. He's a wild man. He's all tatted up. He's cool to watch his adventures and stuff. He's a metal singer. So it's cool, and obviously not going to that degree. And obviously he's been very successful in different business ventures and gets to do a lot of cool things too. But it's kind of just like make the Instagram interesting, make TikTok something that is cool, that people want to see, that isn't in it. And it's never about, I think the main thing, conversations we've always had was make it interesting enough to show off the music and show off a little bit of personality as well. Because that's what I like in certain artists is cool. You got a cool look, a cool vibe. I might not always like the music or whatever it is, or I'll get into the music because the artist or the front man is kind of got a personality. So it was making all of those things hit without being inauthentic. So it took a lot of trial and error, but it was about trying to bring who I am naturally into a space that we have to participate in, and that wasn't easy, but we've I guess figured it out to some degree at least.
Well, I was gonna say, I mean, in a sense, it's what you've done with your music. I mean, you could have been pigeonholed into something or been forced to do something, but you've kind of made it your own and given it your spin on it all.
I mean, I think I've always done that. I think I've always, when everyone went left, I wanted to go right, or it's always been kind of that, and I've always had, it's always been a slight rebelliousness, I think, and I know where the line is, and I usually try to walk it, not cross it. I think there's no reason to ever be an asshole. There's no reason to ever be rude or anything like that. But at the same time, like, I like being different. I like being outside the box. I think that's partially why I love tattoos. I think that's, it's crazy to be, growing up in a world where nobody's a musician and you decide to do it. And then within that world, go as far left as, as everybody else is in the genre. So I think it's just like, it's a constant just being myself, and it's fun to push boundaries a little bit, respectfully, of course, but it just is. I mean, I've never been cookie cutter, and I don't ever want to be. And so I think we found a way to make music that is like that in the genre that I love, regardless of me. And people go, well, have you ever heard this artist? Because, well, they don't really do what you do. And it's like, just because it's not what I'm doing doesn't mean I don't listen to, various other things. So, yeah, but it's not, when I go on, I want to make music that is fun to go out on stage with my buddies and play. And people get the vibe, and, it creates a bit of an energy.
Well, I was going to say, I think you said it perfectly, and I think your mom even said, you're a rule bender, not a breaker, a rule bender.
Right, exactly. Bend it, right? So, I mean, I was in high school, and, luckily I was fortunate enough to go to a private high school, and we had uniforms and stuff, and I never broke rules. I never did anything, but I would, bleach my hair. And they're like, well, you can't do that. And I'm like, Okay, well, now what are we going to do? It's bleached. And so they kind of, just because I was always uh, polite and nice to everybody, they kind of let me do it until one day it was like growing through, and I had gym first period and spiked my hair up kind of in a faux hawk. So the roots were coming through, and it was so sick. And it was the vice, I guess, assistant headmaster. She was running our gym, and she's like, Manny, can you stay after class? And I'm like, sure. So I don't know what I did. I mean, I'm competitive in gym class, but I mean, I didn't. And she's like, this hair thing has to be different tomorrow. And I was like, it's so cool. She goes, no, I mean, you can't walk around like that. And I was like, oh, all right. So I just shaved it all off and went buzz cut for a while. But yeah, so it's just like, I never fought it. I just tried to push it until they tell me no. And then it's like, cool, we'll do something else, I guess, so.
Just pivot to the next thing, figure out something else to have a little bit of fun with. And
tattoos, and they were like, and it's like, I can't take them off. So.
Well, just keep covering them up. Longer sleeves,
That's
longer sleeves, gloves at the end.
Now, yeah.
Now you mentioned, the transition into music was kind of after that injury. I mean, did you ever think about playing guitar before then or singing? I mean, were there any musical kind of push before all that?
Yeah, I think my parents were always like recreationally musical. We always had a karaoke machine in the house for as long as I've been around. My dad used to love singing Billy Joel and Harry Connick, Michael Bublé kind of stuff, and my mom sang too, and Shania Twain and Cher, and so it was always like, excuse me, it was always within the house. My mom grew up playing classical piano, so we always had a piano, and she would play with it a little bit, from time to time. So it wasn't, and so just based on that, like my dad loves doing public speakings and things like that. So it was never a weird thing to be in front of people and sing or talk or whatever. So I think I had been doing it for a while. Like I've been singing karaoke with my parents for fun all the time. And so when we had friends over, it was like nobody wants to do it. Or we'd go to a party and it's like just karaoke and nobody wants to do it and everybody's shy. And it's like, cool, I'll do it. So I always kind of had it and always felt like for not being a musician, like, a pretty decent singer, who wasn't a singer. And I thought if I maybe, built upon that foundation, we could maybe have something really cool. And so that's where it all kind of started. And then picking up the guitar was kind of like, well, if I can sing or if I want to sing, it'd be really cool to even sit down and pick up an acoustic and be able to accompany myself that way. And that's where it all kind of was supposed to be for fun. And and here we are, and it's still fun. But, it's a bit more of a business now.
I was gonna say it's a job. You're working. You're working, but it's a fun one. I'm sure. And you mentioned growing up in a household that music was kind of around. What were your influences? Because I'm guessing you had some interesting ones. If you're country punk.
Yeah, well, the country was never in the mix. Country came in the mix when my buddies and I, like my brother and my buddies were coming over. Everybody went away to play hockey and then would come home during the summer, and everybody would have different kinds of music they were listening to in the dressing room and would try to bring that along with them. And a lot of it was country. So country kind of was like what I felt was like, oh, everyone's together, party starts, boys are home, let's go. And I started it by wanting to do, if I was going to do music, I want to do music all my buddies are going to love to drink to and party with. And then as the passion grew and I developed and got more knowledgeable on it and started really finding my own voice and sound, that's kind of when country punk came in. I was born in 94. So like mid 2000s, I was a teenager, all of the sort of rebellious college party movies with this a little bit of nudity and you feel like you shouldn't be seeing, but you do because the movie's on, and all had pop punk soundtracks. And we would go to hockey games and it'd be, Blink 182 be playing between whistles or whatever it is. So when it had a resurgence, it was kind of like, I remember this from, 2003, 2004, 2005, where I was 10, 12 years old. So I'm like, let's go back to listen to those bangers. And then, with the resurgence with MGK, and he put one out first during COVID, and it just was like a conversation of like, let's do that in country. Let's do that with country music storytelling, country music songwriting. So it's not so much emo as it is, country music storytelling with a little bit of pop punk energy in the music. So that's kind of how it developed, and it's not like every song is going to be a super awesome pop punk song, or there's going to be some that have a little more country influence in it, and there's going to be some that have a little more rock and roll influence in it. And the thing was, I was just tired of being pigeonholed in one position, of being like, well, if you do that, now you're going outside of the world of country, and it's like, well, why does it have to be like that? I think genres really only mattered when you had to buy CDs. When you had to buy CDs and you wanted a metal album, and then they had some other stuff on there. You're like, well, I just spent $19.99 on a CD that half the songs are not even what I expected them to be. That starts making a difference with genres. Now that you can download your favorite songs from everyone's album, you can mix and match colors, and you can mix and match sounds and feelings and stuff. So, as long as the project itself is cohesive, I'm not saying let's go make, one song of every, as long as the thing's cohesive, you can have different songs in one whole project that have different influences or lean a little bit more one way or the other way. So I feel like it's just country, it's maybe country music for non-country fans, or country music for fans that want a little edge and want a little bit of, energy. So, that's kind of what we've been doing.
Well, I was going to say, I mean, it's not like it's unheard of these days. I mean, I think of, the big name of like Jason Aldean with a lot of rock, to Cole Wetzel and others that are doing just different things. And I feel like that's just what you're doing. Country can be a wide breadth of different
Well, and those
sounds.
were the influences coming to this conclusion, was really like, I didn't know about Jason Aldean and Brentley Gilbert and Eric Church and Cadillac 3 till I moved to Nashville. And when I heard those guys, I was like, holy hell, there's a lot more in it. So it's fun to go. So there's a space for it. So let's go back to the old stuff. Let's go back to listen to all the Blink albums. Let's listen to All Time Low and see what about this musically I really like. And then, because all those guys have opened the doors, Coetzel being one of the newer ones, and Hardy as well. I mean, all those guys open the doors, so I get to kind of come in and add my own little flavor to this world of sort of alternative country. And I think that it's super cool. And I just called it country punk because I thought it sounded cool, and it kind of makes you question it. And at first, now, listening back to it, you kind of go, that could be really cool, or it could be complete shit. We're not sure. And listen to a couple of songs, and anyone can make their own opinion for themselves. It might not be for them, but I'm very bold and very upfront about what it is I want to do. And I was like, I don't want to call it country and then do whatever I want. People go, that's not country. So let's call it something that nobody can tell me is wrong, and do what we want to do. So I think it's awesome. And, we've been fortunate to find a lot of people that we can work with at this point in time, that see the vision and understand it, that can help us make it better.
Well, and it's an awesome sound, and I love your music. I got turned on to Old Money was the first one that I ever heard, and I've kind of gone down the rabbit hole since. But you mentioned kind of you grew up in Canada playing all those sports. Was how big of an impact did all that? Was that basically, like you said, how country became your thing? It was just because of who you grew up around and what they listened to?
I think so. I mean, I started playing guitar because of B.B. King and John Mayer, and I wanted to be a blues guy. I was, 15,000 steps behind being a blues guitar player, but, I really wanted to work at that. But nobody at a party wants me to pick up a guitar and start playing a 12-bar blues song. So, or riffs or whatever. So, I mean, everyone wanted to hear the newest Luke Combs song, or Luke Bryan or whatever it was. So, that kind of whatever was top 40 was kind of what I started learning the most on the guitar, so that, when someone goes, hey, can you go get the guitar you have in your room at Manny? Let's play something. I can pull out some of these songs people can sing along to, and it makes you feel cool. It makes you feel like everybody's singing along to a song. It doesn't matter whose it is or what it is. It's cool. So when someone goes, what kind of music do you sing? I was kind of like country, I guess. So it kind of happened accidentally, but I'm very happy to be in this space. I think camaraderie and community wise of country music is great, and I just get to take that version of it and do it a little bit different, and kind of get to stand on a hill almost, I wouldn't say by myself 'cause I'm not the only one doing it, but I'm you know, not every alternative country all sounds the same, right? So it's like I think there's a slight difference between myself and say Coetzel or Aldine or Hardy, but ultimately it's all rock and roll based country music, so I think that's super cool.
Well, and you moved to Nashville, I think, in the past 4 or 5 years. Is
in
that
2018.
Right? So, I mean, how's that been? And then obviously COVID happened. How has that impacted everything for you as you've done your career journey?
Well, I mean, I think if like you mentioned, you listened to Old Money. That was off an EP called New Ink, and that was very, very Aldine Gilbert inspired. It was the first, we had put out more of a pop country EP, and I have since taken it down because I don't want it to be representative of what we're doing anymore. It's just not accurate, and I don't want it to, if someone's going to dislike what I'm doing, it's going to be based off something I'm proud of, not something that is just sitting out in the world. So New Ink was kind of the first one that we got to do that, and kind of the beauty that COVID came at the time that it did was I started getting to develop country punk without knowing that's what I was doing. It was during COVID where we kind of reevaluated and said, this New Ink thing is, we had it, recorded before COVID. So we put it out slightly on the decline, I guess the first one in 2021, it was end of 2020. Yeah. So, throughout that quarantine process, I was able to really take a step back, really understand what it is I wanted to do and redevelop. And that's where Devil comes in and has its sound. And I think that's the most wide range of things that I want to do. As far as a whole project, this would be Devil. And then we decided, because we weren't touring, at the end of 2021, to put out an EP called Country Punk and really put a stamp on it. And that one's got a lot more of pop punk influences, on there, and predominantly is significantly heavier sounding as a project, but I think the two together would be really the description of my sound. And now we're taking all of what we did on those two projects and making it, I think we just, with those two, scratched the surface. And I think now is a really fun time where we get to dive in and dig in and double down on that and make it all upgraded.
Well, I was going to say, I love Devil with a lowercase I. Everything else is uppercase. I'm guessing there's a reason behind that.
Honestly, I want to call it something else. I want to call it Dancing with the Devil because it's a line in Might As Well Lead. And at the time, there was another bigger artist out in California who was putting out a documentary movie thing with an album called Dancing with the Devil. And I was like, that's not going to work. So we had all the imagery and everything already done. And if you watch the music video close enough for Might As Well Lead, we have it says Dance with the Devil, or whatever, with Dance with the Devil on the sign behind the two people walking. And then we kind of just changed the name because it wasn't going to work around that time. So I just said, well, let's make it a little bit different, and let's make it like that. And actually somebody had pointed out, it almost looks like I the devil. And, I wish that was the actual story, and I said that's what I would go with, but it's stronger than me, to be honest and tell the truth. So it was really just because I thought I'd look cool at first, just to make
There you go.
I thought an all caps devil would be way too aggressive, so I figured put a lowercase I. It kind of softens it maybe a little bit, and it's in pink. So
I was gonna say, you can make whatever story you want now. No one would know. You
could with that story.
So next time someone asks you, you got your story ready to go. But you put that one out. I love Circle Up. I think it's one of my favorite songs you've put out from it. Country punk. When you're putting out multiple EPs, I mean, obviously it's not a full-length album, but there's still 5-6 songs on each. What's it like? And like you said, I know that's where you kind of developed your sound, but still to put out a lot of music and let people hear it and get feedback, it's got to kind of be good and a little scary at the same time.
Man, it's cool. I love release day. I think we've released something, whether it be a live version of anything on our either live and turned up or live and unplugged series on YouTube, or music video or music. We've put out something every 6 to 8 weeks for 24 months, leading up to the last song, the last single, "Put Your Whiskey Where Your Mouth Is." So, I mean, it's release day is fun to me for anything. I think we've been super proud of the projects, and we've been super proud of the songs. Circle Up, I got my buddy on it. I've been wanting to have him on a song for a while, so Blaine Holcomb's on it, and he crushed it, and it's just fun because he's really a 90s country boy, and his music is significantly 90s country throwback, modernized, obviously, but so to have him on a heavy song like that one's actually written by Hardy, and if you listen to the words, there's a lot of them, so that tracks. But to get my buddy on there and have him do something, kind of bring him into my wheelhouse and have him on that song is super cool. It's super fun. It's what we open with almost every show, because it slaps and it kind of sets the tone. So it's just, it's pride. It's you're proud of the work you did, and you put it out to the world, and you hope for the best. But if I wasn't proud of it, I wouldn't put it out. And we kind of walked it into thinking that was the only project of the year, so we kind of stretched it out, and we started releasing Train. We released Train in April, had it walk all the way to August where the EP was coming out, but we put out four of the 5 songs were put out as singles leading up to it. And I think when you put out music on streaming platforms, you need to put a focus track. So the only focus track the only song that wasn't a single was Rusty Things. And I'm like, cool, well, these all did all right. Like, we were hoping for something, to explode a little bit more, and these all did all right, but maybe Rusty Things was just kind of a feel good song I wanted to have on the project. And it did what it did, and I was like, oh man, okay, cool. So nothing to hang your head over. I mean, I think everything went really well on the release, hoping for maybe a home run or just something to grab more attention than it did, until recently when Rusty Things popped off on TikTok, and we went, all right, let's, this is crazy, and it's been taking, at this point in time, it's been taking a life of its own and giving us so many more opportunities because of what it did on the app. So it's crazy. So you put it out and you go, like day one, first week, you go, I wish I would have done better. Obviously, you always do. And for it to have a second life, and for people to still be talking about it, and even more so now, and we're taking meetings and getting show opportunities around that, it's just crazy because it came out over a year ago. So it's just been wild what the internet's been doing for it. And, we're super proud and happy about it.
Well, and then and I think it was on Country Punk. I could be wrong, but 95. You want to talk about that?
I would
song?
love to talk about it. So the Country Punk EP really came about because of 95. That was basically the reason. During COVID, while we were sourcing songs for Devil, 95 came along from a different band, and it was a one-off kind of send-over, and they wanted to revamp it, I think. And I said, I absolutely want this. I want this song. My fiance and I had not been together for 2 years, and, reconnected in COVID. And that's a song that if you listen to the words, it basically is, I might as well have written it, for our love story. And so when I heard it, I was like, this has to be mine. And so, but it didn't fit the album. We were working with a producer, and we were getting songs from the publisher he's with, and that didn't fit that project. Sonically it didn't fit. And then also just for the way things work, it didn't fit either. So, we weren't touring, and, all the work was done other than doing interviews and social media. The Devil was finished. And so we said, we're just going to wait for things to happen, or we can start working on something else. And I figured, let's start working on another project, and let's put 95, base it around the concept of 95 and sonically what we want to do with that, and make a whole project based around that feeling and that vibe. So we a lot of the songs are written by our friends and people around, and my management got back into songwriting. So that he knew me really well. He knows me really well. So he was able to kind of write songs for me for the first time. And we were able to, now I co-produced it because I really wanted it to be something that is representative of this thing I've been talking about for 8 months. So at the time. So 95 is one of my favorite songs I've ever put out for the emotional component that it has with me. And I have the font that we used for the artwork. I have that tattooed on my leg. So that's a special song.
I was gonna say, so it's gonna stick with you forever.
Yeah, and the bitch part of it all is the fact that it's the hardest song to sing live vocally. And it's like I always put it in. I'm like, yeah, we're doing it, and it's like an hour and a half set, and we're hitting 95. I think 4th or 5th song in. And I'm like, oh my god, we're gonna have a day, because I can totally, and that's based on emotion too. I'm just singing with so much emotion, and it's not necessarily technical. And if it is, it's right on the edge of my range, and so it's just everything has to stay perfect for that to be able to happen, so that I don't bust my voice for the rest of the set. And but it means so much to me, and I think it's an important song for me to keep playing. So regardless, we'll keep it in the set, and we'll keep practicing to make it better.
Well, now you got your latest single. I think it's a little different than 95. I'll put it that way. It fits perfectly. It's one of the reasons I was like, he's on Whiskey Weeks. This is just too good to pass up. Your latest single is literally "Put Your Whiskey Where Your Mouth Is." How did that come about? Working with the guys you did on the song. Yeah. I mean, how much fun was it?
So we always pick about 6 songs and work. When we work on an EP, I like 5-song EPs. I think it's short, it's concise, it gets the vibe in. Whiskey was supposed to be on Devil. We worked on that with the same bunch of songs as Devil, and I've been in my head about wanting to do a very specific sounding EP, and I think with Valet and Whiskey, it kind of steers it away from what it is I wanted. So we didn't put it on Country Punk EP for that specific reason. And then we had, and the same with Playback, which we released a little bit before that, was supposed to be on Country Punk EP, and we decided to postpone that. So we ended up with 2 5-song EPs and then 2 extra songs, and said, you know what, we're putting out Country Punk EP, on New Year's Eve, and then because I wanted it out in the same year as Devil, and that's just my stubbornness. But we said we have 2 extra songs to kind of really work into the year, and we had a big tour in Canada, and so let's put one out before that, and then let's put one out right on the tail end of the tour. And Put Your Whiskey Where Your Mouth Is was just kind of one that felt fun. And when I had gone back to it during Christmas holiday, I'm like, man, we still have this song. This one slapped like by itself, without a project, just a song with my voice on it that I wanted to do, that I still love, to just put out is really cool. And it felt like we had it all mixed and mastered by myself with nobody on it. And I said, I think we need some features on it to really make it feel like a house party, because it feels like something people would yell in a kitchen at a college house party or something like that. It felt like, I know some guys, my boys down here, PJ North and Cody Park's also doing some alternative country things as well. Cody with his country metal, which he crushes, by the way. I'm like, dude, this would be awesome to have a song with 3 of us on it, and we got to perform it live before it came out, just before we left on tour, and it's just a fun song. It's just like nothing. It's about drinking and with your buddies and having a good time, and there's no deeper meaning to me than that, other than fun song to play live. It's got a cool little thing to it, and the message, you can play it on a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, whatever night you drink with your buddies, and have some fun.
Or while we're drinking right now. you know.
Exactly.
No, you like you said, you've been on tour. You've been playing a lot of different places. I think you got to travel to the UK, other countries. What's that been like? Because I mean, that's got to be pretty cool to be sharing your sound all over the world.
It's insane. And the reception we've been getting is super cool. I mean, we went on, Canadian country doesn't have many guys that are, as heavy or as rock and roll. And I think being, having been on a tour with Dallas Smith being the headliner from Default makes a lot of sense. But everybody else on that bill is not, in the doing any kind of country rock. There's a lot of different sounds and vibes to what they're doing. And it's great. And I honestly think for the bill itself, it keeps the whole night interesting. But I wasn't sure how it'd be received. I'm not up in Canada very much. I know a lot of them had already toured together and stuff. So the reception to me and them being like, you're our rock guy, you're the punk guy, this is awesome. Go out, go give them hell for 15 minutes, set it up for everybody, go do your thing. And that's always been cool. I wasn't sure if they'd be like, can we, don't scare the audience. Can we tone that whole thing down? And they didn't, nobody one time told me that, which is super cool. And we got a lot of awesome compliments from Dallas's band, like, you're setting up the energy. It's all our job to not let that energy drop. And I'm like, that's the biggest compliment I can receive as one of 5 acts in the night. And so it's been cool. And to be able to do the UK as well has been something we've been talking about since I moved to Nashville. Naturally being from Canada, coming to Nashville and working with people, they go, do you plan on a Canadian career? Or do you plan on, just doing your stuff in the U.S.? There's going to be opportunities from Canada. What do we say? Do we say no to that, or what's the deal? And I always said I wanted to be global. I always said I wanted to play wherever people want me to play. I'm going to go play. I didn't want to get stuck, being just this Canadian artist or being just this Canadian in Nashville doing just the U.S. stuff. I wanted to I want to have the opportunities to go over to the UK and hopefully one day go to Australia and do all those things. So it seemed like opportunity was coming, in 2019, early 2020 until COVID. And obviously that took 2 years away from us getting over there. But when London Meets Nashville came calling, I said, for sure, we're going to go out there and do that and kind of just, and everybody sees country music differently up in Canada, here down in the States, or over in the UK. But ultimately, though a lot of the ideas and ways of seeing country music is different in a lot of places, the camaraderie and the core of people who go to country shows remains the same all across. And I think that's super cool.
I was going to say, I don't know which show it was. I saw the video where you probably had maybe your smallest fan ever show up and want a picture with you. How cool was that? And just to see that your music transcends almost all ages.
That's always cool, man. I mean, when anybody comes up to us and wants a picture, an autograph, it's always a yes, because they don't have to. You know what I mean? They don't have to do that. They can listen to music on their iPod. They don't have to come to shows. They don't have to come say hello. They don't have to do any of that. And so anytime you get anybody who wants a picture, it will always be a yes, because at the end of the day, we don't get to do what we do if nobody's listening to the music. So, and then especially when they're a tiny little kid and who's shy but wants a fist bump, and I put my fist out and they see the tattoos and they're not really sure. I mean, it's such a cool moment, and it's, you don't get to live that every day. So when that does happen, it is always so special.
Well, and like we've been talking as we're getting close to wrapping up, MannyBluMusic.com, social media at Manny Blu Music. I like someone on the marketing team was working hard to get all those to be the same. Yeah. But like I said, you got put your whiskey where your mouth is. I apparently put too much whiskey to my mouth so far today. You've had a couple songs released. You've talked about maybe doing another EP. Full-length album, though, maybe? Or is it just maybe going to be another EP, kind of keep going down that route?
I love EPs, but we are gearing towards a full-length. We are working on 6 sets of songs with 2 different producers that have played in, or still play in, some pretty big rock bands, which is awesome. And so just guys that are in Nashville that are not in the country space, who understand exactly what it is I want to do. So the awesome thing right now is we get to, so there might be an EP before a full length, or we might merge the two, or the beauty is we don't have a plan right now. And I've never worked that way. We always wanted to put something out by a certain date and kind of, I wouldn't say rushed it, but I mean, we said, okay, cool. If we really want to take our time on it, we start now and we go until the end by this date so we can get it out in time. Right now, I think it's been so cool to be able to take a step back and reevaluate. Well, I mean, it's not going to change. It's just going to get better. But how do you make it better? I mean, I think, the success of Rusty Things has been really cool and it's been very interesting. And I think just the reaction on the Country Punk EP has been great. And obviously, you don't want to repeat yourself. You want to make everything better. So it's just a matter of leveling up to a certain way, being a little bit more creative, being, and doing that. So we don't have any date for anything. I mean, I would love to put something out before the end of the year, but if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen, and I certainly don't want to rush anything. So I guess it's sort of going to be what it is, and we're definitely working on new music, whether it be an EP before full length, or if the next thing is gearing towards a full length. But yeah, we're still working towards a full length, to make my answer a little shorter or more concise, I guess.
Well, I'll get the answer out of you. We'll just keep making you drink. Yeah. We won't. We won't do that. Well, I was gonna say though, like I was thinking of another question. I mean, when you see, like, I feel like your style of music is being more and more mainstream. I think like a guy like Jelly Roll being on country music these days and being a big hit. When you never would have thought about that maybe a year ago. I mean, do you kind of in a sense, you've been doing this long enough. Are you almost hitting it kind of at a right time as well?
I think so. I mean, I think it's all of it. I think it's, I don't think anybody had said country punk. So people start to, SCAMT put an article out saying that we were, pioneering this. And I don't know if that's necessarily true, because I get to do it because other people get to do it. But everyone's just been putting, which is also cool too. It's not a dig at nobody. They've just been putting out music, and they've had success before, and so it kind of is. We're gonna do this thing now, which is a little heavier, a little more rock and roll, and people go, "That's great! Oh my god, they're so rock and roll. This is cool." And I don't know if it's, I just like to be super bold and upfront and just be like, well, what we're doing is country punk. Now, it's a little bit of country, it's a little bit of pop punk, it's a little bit of rock and roll, and it is what it is. So, I mean, I think honestly, it just takes something for people to realize that it's not as scary as it is, right? It's not, everybody loves pop punk. Pop punk's not intimidating, it's not scary. So people look at country punk and go, this is not really for me. This is a little heavier than what I like. But it's like, if you really listen to it, a lot of the mainstream rock guys are heavier than what we're doing. And so I think it just takes a second. And, I've been talking about it for over a year, and only, kind of now I feel like it's starting to get some kind of recognition as far as it being a cool thing. So yeah, you look at stories like guys at Jelly Roll, man. Jelly Roll, I've been watching this dude for a minute, and just to see him play the Opry and everything, and this big dude who's got face tats and really imposing character starts to cry when he gets to play the Opry, dude. You can't help but cheer for that guy, because I mean, that's everybody's dream. And even him, he's from Tennessee, and that he gets to do that is so cool. And I don't really care what he's doing. I don't care what genre he's doing. If he gets to play the Opry, that's awesome. And to see a guy like that get that opportunity, it legitimately opens the doors for all of us behind to do that. So yeah, I'd love to wear a studded jacket at the Opry one day and yell into a microphone and then play like a acoustic song, just do both. And that's, versatility, I think, is cool, and it's a skill in my opinion. And so where once people were like, do you really know what you're doing? Do you know what you want to do? Because everything sounds different. It's like, if you really pay attention, it's not different. And I'm just able to be versatile in what it is I want to do. And so I think that's great. And a guy like Jelly Roll, who put out a rock album, who, was a rapper beforehand, or still is, whatever he wants to do, and then gets to play the Opry and be playing on country radio, dude, it's like, why not? You know what I mean?
I was gonna say the doors are wide open now. They're not just cracked where you got to kind of almost kick them down. And like I said, you can find Manny Blu at MannyBluMusic.com, social media at Manny Blu Music. And my last question for you, as we finish off our drinks, actually I might have two, is anything else folks can expect from you the rest of the year?
Just socials, just more TikToks and more things. I mean, we decided we got one more show here in Nashville before the end of the year, and then that's pretty much it. I get married in October and go on my honeymoon, so October is pretty much null and void. In that we're not really.
What, your wife's not gonna let you go work right after getting married?
Dude, if I had to, she would. She's the best. She's the fucking best. But we decided that I think it'd be better just for all of our scheduling to just decide that October there is no work, which allows us to do our honeymoon away, and then we can get back in studio November, December, and finish off whatever we have left. So it's going to be a lot of Instagram pictures of us in studio, and maybe little snippets of things. I've been teasing some. We got a song called Hollywood Sign that we haven't really finished yet, that I've been playing acoustically throughout. And I have it's up. If you're willing to find it, it is somewhere on my Instagram. There's a video on a what they call a carousel that has me playing parts of Hollywood Sign. So we played it out in the UK on an interview performance thing, and so that's a sneak peek. That's probably the most acoustic song that we've got working that we're working with. But I'm just pumped about it. So I'd be willing to put out some sneak peeks, but nothing too crazy from now to the end of the year.
Well, I gotta say, happy wife, happy life. That's the best advice I can ever give to anyone. And then my actual last question is, did you like the Chattanooga whiskey? I
did. I had it the other day, and that's why I pulled it out. I thought it worked. It's a little heavier than most, and that's cool. I like that. Being in Nashville, and you called it Whiskey Week or something like that. So I mean, I think we're right in the mix. It's right on brand for what we're doing here tonight. So it's great.
Well, I would cheers you, but I'm pretty sure you finished your drink. So I appreciate this, Manny. It's been a blast, and thanks for sharing a drink and
Yes, sir, man. Thanks for having me anytime.